What's up, Duelists? MD here, and today we are here and going to be talking about draw cards. Specifically, come on, there we go. Pot of Desires. We're going to be talking about this card today and how much awful it is. Just no. Yeah, for those of you who have seen my previous videos, you know that I am not exactly a fan of this card. Not so much of, like, don't get me wrong, I hate the fact you have to banish 10 and draw 2, but what I really hate about it is that not only has it become, according to pro players, a staple, but it's such an expensive card. Like, so expensive. So, the point of this video today is to show you guys cheaper alternatives to other draw cards other than Pot of Desires to give you guys more of a fair chance in case you're just like me and can barely be able to afford a single one of these, let alone a play set. So, conveniently enough, the first optional card right here is right below it in Pot of Duality. Now, whenever you play this card, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, but for certain decks, that's not really a problem whatsoever. You excavate the top 3 of your deck, and you can add one of them to your hand, and you shuffle the rest back in. And obviously, you can only activate one Pot of Duality per turn. So, in decks that don't really special summon much or at all, this is actually a really good card. Matter of fact, in Dark Magician, this is actually a pretty decent draw card. Because yes, even though there is a lot of special summoning in that deck, you almost never special summon turn 1. So, pretty good for that as well. Alright, let's go on to the next one here. Probably one of the biggest ones here. No, not 2 A's. Yep, that is Allure of Darkness. Now, this card is arguably almost as good as Pot of Desires, to where you draw 2, then you banish a dark monster from your hand, which a lot of the meta deck stays have some dark in them. So, a really good card. And the best part about it is that, like, it's currently at 3. I should say the 2 best things about it. Yes, it's currently at 3 until the next list hits. Hopefully, it stays at 3. And also, this was not Pot of Desire price, but there was a point where when this card was at 3 that the common version of this was at like over $10. But the good news is that with the new structure deck, Pendulum Domination, the DD structure deck, this was actually reprinted in it. So, Allure of Darkness is a really good card, and it's also become super affordable for players now. So, again, arguably one of the best draw cards next to Pot of Desires. And many decks could utilize this just well. Both fun and competitive. So, that's it for Allure of Darkness. Let's go on to the next one. Hopefully I'm spelling this right. There we go, yes. Moray of Greed. Now, not too many decks can take advantage of this. Mainly just the water ones. So what this does, you shuffle 2 water monsters from your hand to the deck, then you draw 3 cards. So, pretty good way, pretty good. Drawing 3 cards is definitely pretty decent. This is a bit of an older card, so it might be a little bit harder to get your hands on. But compared to Pot of Desires, I promise you it is not going to be as difficult. And there are some pretty good decks that could utilize this, like, say, Mermaids, for example. I know they're not exactly a tier thing, but Mermaids are definitely a really good deck. And they could definitely benefit from this card right here. Alright. And if I'm missing any decks that certain cards go into, please forgive me. Alright, that takes care of that one. So, Pot. A lot of these are going to be pot of cards here. So, I wish. If only. Alright. Here's the next one here. Pot of Acquisitivities. Now, it's not so much as a draw, it's a draw card, but it's also a really good recovery card too. To where you could get 3 of your, you could get 3 banished monsters, not just yours, but your opponent's as well. Shuffle them into their respective decks, and you can draw 1 card. So, certain decks that like to banish a lot can take advantage of this card here. And also, for one of those rare instances where your opponent benefits from having their monsters banished, you could just stop that from them and draw a card for yourself too while you're at it. So, overall, not too bad of a card. Not too many decks can take advantage of this, though. Though, I could see possibly DDDs and Lunalights being able to take advantage of this just because of how often they banish. But, I don't know too many others. Alright. So right above it, the next one is Pot of Ditchomi. Now this one is okay. You really have to be wary of which deck this goes in, but certain decks can take advantage of this. So you start your main phase 1, you target 3 monsters, 2 different types in your graveyard, you shuffle all of them to the deck, then you draw 2 cards. Sounds pretty good getting stuff back and drawing, though you can't go through your battle phase that turn. So if you really need the cards over dealing the battle phase damage, then by all means. But I mean, it's okay. Not the best, though I will say out of all the draw cards out there, it is most certainly not the worst either. So let me see if there's any other pot of cards here. There we go, Pot of Riches. This is a pretty cool one here. You shuffle 3 Pendulum monsters to the deck from graveyard and or face up extra deck, then you draw 2. Then you can't special summon this turn except for Pendulum Summon. So, for Pendulum decks, it's pretty alright. Suppose, though, let me show you guys something even, what I personally think is better for Pendulum Draw. Ignite Reload, yes. Now, again, personally, I feel this is the better Pendulum Drawer of them. To where you reveal any Pendulum monster from your hand, shuffle them into the deck, then you draw cards equal to the number amount you shuffled plus 1. So what that means is that if you reveal 2 Pendulum monsters and you shuffle those both into your deck, you get to draw 3 cards. So you never ever neg with this card. You always get the same amount of cards that you play, which is really cool. And it's certain decks like my Odd Eyes Pendulum deck, this card has come in handy so many times. So yeah, really like the card, and was reprinted in the Mega Tins, so pretty easy to get as well. And speaking of the Odd Eyes ones, here's another one that... Alright, let me just scroll down here a bit because I can't remember the name. There we go. Well, that was actually easier than I thought. Sacred Sword of 7 stars. You banish a level 7 monster from your hand or your side of the field, which is pretty cool. And you draw 2 cards, and you can only activate once per turn. So for certain decks like say Odd Eyes or Dark Magician, this is a really good card. And I've even seen this in Buster Blader. So pretty good card overall. And like I said, for the Odd Eyes, I personally like running Ignite Reload, but this is also a very viable option as well, because it could get you out of some pretty nasty situations. And was there any others? I feel like there was a sword card here that I'm missing. Oh, yes. I suppose I could talk about this one. The Broken Bamboo Sword. If you have that Bamboo Sword equipped, you can play that one and draw 2 cards for essentially nothing. And the only deck I've ever really seen this played in is Exodia, but hey, I mean, weird combo, but 2 cards practically for free. That's pretty good. Pretty good indeed. Cannot lie about that at all. And that does it for that sword stuff there. And any other spell cards I could think of? Here's one. Cards. Okay, actually, yeah, here's a bunch of them, actually. Wow. Alright, so cards for Black Feathers. This one's specifically Blackwing, so if you guys are interested in playing Blackwings, you can pause for a second and read what it does. But I'm not going to really be talking about it since, again, it's for one specific archetype. Same thing with cards that are Redstone. Really good, but only specifically for Red Eyes. Alright. Guards of Constant. Now, here's a pretty okay one. You discard a Dragon-type tuner with 1,000 or less attack and draw 2 cards. Pretty specific, but some decks can play this. Like, more than just one deck can play this card. It's mainly Blue Eyes that plays it, though. True. But, again, there are some others that can play this, so not too bad. But, speaking of which, next up, we're going to go into Trade-In. A really good card here. You discard 1 level 8, and you draw 2. So many decks can take advantage of this one. It used to be just Blue Eyes, but now definitely DDDs can take advantage of this, especially if you're like me and once again can't afford that Pot of Desires that is apparently so good, but I don't believe it. But that's just me. No, yeah, Training has to be reprinted in so many structured decks. This card is so easy to get. Like, if you just go with these structured deck versions, you can get a playset for literally less than $2. So, very, very good on that end. All right. Cards, let's see here. Oh, I forgot to talk about this card right here. I knew I forgot something here. Cards from the Sky. With this, you remove one light fairy type monster from your hand and draw 2 cards. Though, the only bad side is that you cannot special summon or conduct your battle phase the turn you activate that. So, if you're playing a card like this, those 2 draw cards you get had better be really, really important. But, at least light fairies have some kind of draw support going for them. It's honestly better than just giving them nothing. Alright. So next up here, a card I want to talk about is Wonder Wand. Now Wonder Wand is a really, really good draw card because it's actually an equip card that you equip to a spellcaster, and that spellcaster gains 500. So along with draw power, you actually gain a little boost of attack for your spellcaster monsters. And you could discard both the equip card and that spellcaster, and you could draw 2 cards. And for certain decks, that's really good. Like say Dark Magician, if you were to do that, that doesn't really hurt you at all because half your plays are in the graveyard. So Wonder Wand is really good for that. And it is not far only from Dark Magician. So many other decks with spellcasters other than Dark Magician can play this card. So very, very good on that. Alright, so that's about all I have to say about Wonder Wand here. Jar. And even though it's just a trap card, these are just trap cards, but they are still draw alternates. Jar of Greed, you draw 1 card, self-explanatory. And Jar of Avarice, you shuffle 5 cards from your graveyard into the deck, then you draw 1 card. But what's cool about it is since it's a trap card, you can activate on your opponent's turn. And heck, speaking of trap cards, 20 minutes later. Am I really forgetting the name here right now? That's alright guys, because on me I have got my handy dandy notebook of Yu-Gi-Oh cards that I will be looking into right this second. There we go, Reckless Greed, that's what I was thinking of. There we go. Whew. Almost had a problem there, but we're good. Alright, so right here, Reckless Greed, it's a trap card which you could draw 2 cards and you skip your next 2 draw phases. Sounds bad, but depending on the deck, it actually works really, really well. And even though, here, let me show you a really good one that Reckless Greed works really well with. Let me see, it's one of the Spellbook cards. I know which one it is, I just gotta scroll down to it. Right here, Grand Spellbook Tower. This is one of the ones that Reckless Greed works really, really good with. So where you basically get a second draw during your main phase. Not your main phase, your draw phase. So even if you play Reckless Greed, as long as you have this on the field in your Spellbook deck, you still basically going through your regular draw phase. So I think that's really, really cool. Yeah, sorry about that. Just wanted to show you guys that neat little combo there. Alright. And I do believe that is all of the ones that I can think about that are any noteworthy at least. So there you guys have it. That's a pretty sizable list, I want to say, of cards that are cheaper alternatives to Pod Desires. But depending on the deck you're playing, they could be just as good, if not slightly better. But as the duelist, that is entirely up to us to make it so. Because yes, good cards do help out decks, but at the end of the day, it's not the cards themselves that win all the tournaments here. It's the skills of the duelists and all that. I mean, heck, why do you think there's times where complete rogue budget decks sometimes are able to make tops at certain events? All just because the player is really skilled and knows how to manage their resources. So, again, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this. Hope I was able to shine some light on some more affordable draw options for you guys for your decks. And best of luck to all you duelists out there. So, if you like this video, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe for more content. And I will see you guys next time. This has been Magician's Descendant, and I will catch you duelists later.